Hello, my name is Chatushka Samardivakara and today I'm going to do a presentation about hormonal control of implantation and early embryonic development. This is my full name and today's date. First, let's talk about the fertilization. After an egg is released from the ruptured follicle, it is swept into the fallopian tube. Sperm deposited in the female reproductive tract must go through their final maturation step, which is called capacitation, which enables the sperm to swim rapidly and fertilize an egg. An egg can be fertilized for only about 12 to 24 hours after ovulation, but the sperm in the female reproductive tract remain viable for 5 to 6 days. Fertilization normally takes place in the distal part of the fallopian tube. As you can see in this picture, it's in the ovary, the step 1, the egg leaves ovary and enters to the fallopian tube. And in the step 2, sperm enters to the egg and unites with the nucleus. And step 3, fertilized egg starts to divide. Let's talk about it now. So only one sperm must penetrate both the corona radiata and zona pellucida. If you can see in this picture, this is the zona pellucida, and after the acrosomal reaction, the capacitated sperm wiggle their way toward the egg. You can see it according to the second picture. There's an acrosome reacts with zona pellucida. The first sperm to reach the egg quickly finds sperm binding receptors on the oocyte membrane and binds to the egg. The fusion of sperm and oocyte membrane triggers a chemical reaction called cortical reaction to prevent polyspermy. So to complete fertilization, the sperm nucleus sinks into the egg's cytoplasm and the egg resumes meiosis and completes its second division, as you can see in this picture. The final meiotic division creates a second polar body, which is ejected. At this point, the 23 chromosomes of the sperm join the 23 chromosomes of the egg, creating a zygote nucleus with a full set of genetic material. Once an egg is fertilized and become a zygote, it begins to mitosis as it slowly makes its way along the fallopian tube to the uterus, where it will settle for the remainder of the gestational period. Now let's talk about the implantation. So, under the influence of progesterone, blastocysts transport to the uterus. Implantation of the blastocyst into the uterine wall takes place about 7 days after fertilization. Some of the outer layers of blastocyst cells will become chorion. The inner cell mass of the blastocyst will develop into the embryo and into 3 other extra embryonic membranes. Those are amnion, allantois, and the yolk sac. Amnion secretes amniotic fluid in which, as you can see in this picture, to develop the embryo floats. So the allantois becomes part of the umbilical cord that links the embryo to the mother. And in the yolk sac, as you can see in this picture, it degenerates early in human development. The blastocyst secretes enzymes that allow blastocysts to engulf into the endometrium, as you can see in this picture. When blastocyst becomes an embryo, cells that will become placenta forms finger-like chorionic villi, which penetrates the vascularized endometrium. So here's the placenta in this picture. And when we talk about the hormonal control, the placenta secretes hormones during pregnancy. As the blastocyst implants in the uterine wall and the placenta begins to form, the corpus luteum near the end of its 12-day lifespan. The placenta secretes several hormones that prevent menstruation during pregnancy. Those are human chorionic gonadotrophin, human chorionic somatomammotrophine, estrogen, and progesterone. When we talk about the human chorionic gonadotrophin, there's a short name for that, that's HCG. So the HCG is secreted by the chorionic villi and developing placenta. And under the influence of HCG, the corpus luteum will keep producing progesterone to keep the endometrium intact. By the 7th week of the development, the placenta has taken over the progesterone production and the corpus luteum is no longer needed. HCG production by the placenta peaks at 3 months of development and then diminishes. A second function of HCG is the stimulation of testosterone production by the developing testes in male fetuses. And human chorionic gonadotrophin is the chemical detected by pregnancy test, now which we can do easily at home. The next hormone is that the human chorionic somatomammotrophine, which is HCS. It's also called human placental lactogen, which is HPL. It is necessary for breast development during pregnancy and for lactation, but that is not a must. HCS is an alteration of the mother's glucose and fatty acid metabolism to support fetal growth. So when we talk about the estrogen and the progesterone are produced continuously during pregnancy. First by the corpus luteum under the influence of HCG and then by the placenta, preventing another set of follicles from beginning development. And during the pregnancy, estrogen contributes to the development of the milk-secreting ducts of the breasts. Progesterone is essential for maintaining the endometrium and helps suppress uterine contractions. The placenta makes a variety of other hormones, including inhibin and prolactin. So that's about it. That's about all of the hormonal control of the implantation and the early embryonic development. And let's move to the assignment that I have created. It's a multiple choice questions which is focused on placenta. As you can see, there are 12 questions. 12 questions with multiple choices. So as you can see, the first one is the portion of placenta contributed by the embryo is the chorion, because it is one of the membranes that surround the fetus while it is still being formed, and chorion is contributed by the embryo. The second one is which vessel transports blood rich in oxygen and nutrients to the fetus, and the answer is umbilical vein, because umbilical vein is the vein present during fetal development that carries oxygenated blood from the placenta into the growing fetus. The third question is the period immediately after birth to 4 weeks of age is called neonatal, because it's the newborn period, especially the first 4 weeks after the birth. Fourth question is in which menstrual cycle phase does implantation occur? And it's the secretory phase in the second half of the menstrual cycle after ovulation. During the secretory phase, implantation occurs. And the fifth question, which extra-embryonic membrane encloses the embryo in a fluid-filled cavity? And the answer is amnion. Amnion is a membrane that closely covers the embryo when first formed. It fills with amniotic fluid, which causes the amnion to expand and become amniotic sac. The sixth question is which hormone prevents the second pregnancy during gestation? It's the progesterone, because progesterone level raises during second half of the menstrual cycle, and its role is to thicken the lining of uterus is each month. So the progesterone prevents the second pregnancy during gestation. The seventh question is, when is the first possible to distinguish the sex of the fetus? The answer is the third month. During the third month of pregnancy, it is possible to distinguish the sex of the fetus. The XX leads to a baby girl and XY leads to a baby boy. The eighth question, within which extra embryonic membrane are blood cells formed in early stage of development? The answer is yolk sac. It provides nourishment. It produces blood cells until the placenta fully forms later in pregnancy. And towards the end of the first trimester, the yolk sac shrinks and can no longer be seen in the sonogram. The ninth question is, the structure which implants in the endometrium is termed as the blastocyst. The fertilized egg begins to develop into a hollow ball of cells called blastocyst, and the blastocyst implant in the wall of the uterus. The 10th question is, which membrane plays the greatest role in nutrient and waste exchange? The answer is chorion, because it's the outermost membrane surrounding an embryo, and chorion is double-layered membrane formed by a trophoblast. It plays the greatest role in nutrient and waste exchange. The maternal endometrium. The 11th question is, the maternal endometrium response to trophoblast invasion is called as a decidual reaction. Whether it is true or false, the answer is true, because decidual reaction is the set of changes in the endometrium of the uterus that prepares it for the implantation, and these changes are observed in each menstrual cycle and enhanced after implantation. The last question is, the human placenta is classified as, and the answer is hemochorial, because human placenta is classified as hemochorial, in which the maternal blood is in direct contact with the chorion, is known as hemochorial. And that's all about it. Thank you.